What's the secret, Max?
The secret?
Yeah, well, you seem to have it pretty figured out.
The secret, I don't know. I think you just gotta find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life. For me, it's going to Rushmore.
Hello and welcome once again to the Cine-Files, where each week we enter the world of a great film, we explore its themes, the history, the filmmaking, and the influence it has on us today. My name is Steve Morris. I'm a filmmaker and directing instructor in Los Angeles, California.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Roca. I'm a voiceover artist, host of numerous shows and podcasts, and occasionally an actor in Los Angeles. And you might even see me walking around Universal Studios in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Maybe.
I've seen him, and my son has seen him.
Yes.
And it was magical.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You're very kind. It was awesome to do that.
Yeah. And today we are getting to introduce yet another new director.
Yeah.
What I will say, one of the great auteurs of the last 20 years. And
That's a perfect word, auteur.
This guy for real. I
Yeah.
mean, this guy, that you look at a movie of his and immediately you know that you're watching a film by Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Visually, from one frame, Wes Anderson.
Yep.
That's who this is. And we're doing, to me, this is not his first film, but this is the one that really hit for me,
Yeah.
which is Rushmore.
Yeah, absolutely. And not even just the film itself, also the music and the score. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It's all combined within itself.
Absolutely.
Right? You could even not see anything visually. You could look at a black frame and hear the music and go, Wes Anderson film.
Yeah.
There's not even a question.
Yeah, well, the music that the guy who does his scores has done, I think all his scores is
Yeah.
Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just heard, because it just came out maybe a month ago, great Mark Maron WTF with Mark Mothersbaugh. Really, really interesting. Mark Mothersbaugh? Mothersbaugh.
Yeah.
Thank you. But the interview is great. Really,
Great.
he's a really interesting person with a really interesting history.
I think those are some of my favorite episodes of his when he has musicians on.
Yeah.
His Elvis Costello one is still one of my favorites.
It's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So how'd you come to Rushmore?
Oh, I came to it like back when I was going to see all these independent films, right? It was part of the independent film movement in the 90s. And this is what, like 98 or
98.
98? Yeah. So I either saw it in Tallahassee, depending on when it came out at Florida State, or I saw it over the summer by myself at home. Mm-hmm. And I immediately knew that I was looking at something completely different because I hadn't seen Bottle Rocket. That had
neither did
escaped
I.
me. Yeah, that had escaped me. But there was something about the quaintness of the trailer that really hooked me into this movie. And I was so into going to see independent films at the time that I went to see Rushmore, and I absolutely loved it. It was so different. It spoke to me in such a different way then than rewatching it now for the podcast.
Sure.
This is what's interesting. I gravitated and felt more for Max then.
Well, yeah.
But now I feel more for Bill Murray, which was so weird. It's so
Yeah.
weird to watch it this time. But anyway, we'll get into that. But that's how I came to it. And I've watched it multiple times ever since. And I own it on Criterion.
Yeah, for me, is same thing sort of, is that I remember the trailer.
Yeah.
And going like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously a huge Bill Murray fan and really excited to see him in this.
Yeah.
And then I saw it in the theater and I went, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think about it that much. It wasn't a movie that blew me away when I first saw it. And this is one of those movies where right at this time was when I was doing that DVD job.
Oh, yeah.
And this DVD came in and I watched it over and over and over again. And unlike some other films, like The Rock and Armageddon, this movie, every time I watched it, got better and better and better until after seeing it 10 or 15 times, I was like, oh my God, this is an amazing film. And then I actually haven't watched it a lot since then because you get a little burnt out at that. I've probably seen it once or twice since then and watched it again a few nights ago and watched the commentary track. And, I tried to really dig deep into it this time. And it's a fascinating film.
It really is.
Yeah.
And like any piece, to me, it's like a painting.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can sit and stare at it for hours. Like you can watch it over and over again for hours, and you will start to see what makes it work, and you'll pick up stuff that you missed the first 300 times you saw it or the first 20 times you saw it, and it'll give you an even deeper appreciation and love for the film.
Well, it's funny you say it's like a painting, and there's the great YouTube series, Every Frame a Painting.
Yes.
Which is about film, and I highly recommend, and I posted one recently about Jackie Chan, because we've done the Jackie Chan episode.
Right.
It's great, first of all, and whenever I hear that phrase, Every Frame a Painting, the first thing I think of is Wes Anderson.
Wow.
Because that is what his looks like paintings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every shot is so perfectly composed in a way that it's not that there aren't other great cinematographers and great filmmakers with great visuals, Kurosawa and Kubrick and John Ford and Orson Welles and on and on and on.
Sure.
But that painting look It's nothing like Wes Anderson.
Yeah, and it feels like he's perpetually stuck in the 70s.
Oh yeah.
Even though he almost never puts a timestamp on the movies he's directing, it feels like he's almost perennially
I think they're
stuck
they're
in the
consciously
70s.
timeless, and
Yeah.
Rushmore is too. It's one
Yeah.
of the things watching this movie. You're like, wait, when is this?
Yeah.
And we don't get to really. They're not going to tell us.
No.
Yeah, a little bit about Wes Anderson is he's from Texas. He went to a private school.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he was a bit of the precocious young man. He did, he staged plays in elementary school.
Yeah.
He tried to stage a play of the entirety of Star Wars, and then felt like that was maybe too much. But you kind of see the Max in here,
Right.
And after he got out of his prep school, he goes to college in Texas and meets Owen Wilson, and this friendship is really key to this, and they started writing Rushmore fairly soon. They actually started writing before Bottle Rocket.
Wow.
And when they did Bottle Rocket, Owen Wilson only acted in Bottle Rocket. He never wanted to be an actor. He only acted in it because they couldn't find anyone else to do it. Wow. And you think about this guy who, is a legitimate movie star.
Yeah.
Didn't really intend on being an actor.
Wow.
And Rushmore, it sounds like, is a real mix of Owen Wilson's experiences and Wes Anderson, because Owen Wilson also went to a prep school like this. He got expelled and ended up having to go to the public high school. Wes Anderson, on the other hand, is this precocious guy who did all these plays, and he did fall in love with a teacher or an older woman, I think. And so they kind of combined those two stories. And when they went around, they're trying to figure out where they're going to shoot. So the Bottle Rocket is not a financial success, but it's somewhat of a critical success.
Right.
And they get some money to make Rushmore, and they're like, $1 million or something, which is not small change, but it's not a huge amount of money. And they're running around trying to figure out where are we going to shoot it? Where's the perfect prep school? They're thinking about shooting in England and the Northeast. And finally, after searching and searching, Wes Anderson goes, well, I'll just shoot it at my school. This is the perfect place. It's really what I was thinking of the whole time. And it's like, well, why didn't you just do that from the beginning? And of course, the big person that they wanted to get for this is Bill Murray, who they really wrote the part for.
Really?
Yeah, they genuinely say they wrote the part for him.
Yeah.
And they were kind of scared of him because Bill Murray is a fascinating character and not easy.
No. He does not have an agent. He does not have anything like that. What you do is you reach out to his manager, and his manager send him an email.
Right.
And if he reads your script, he'll either read it and like it, or read it and be a part of it, or not read it, or not be a part of it at all. But he will eventually read it.
And you won't know when.
And you won't know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it could take forever.
Exactly.
And I think they got scripts to him 3 different ways.
Yeah.
Like they got through the manager, and then maybe they found his lawyer, and they got someone else to get him a script.
Right.
And then and all these people really liked Bottle Rocket. And when he finally read the script, he just went okay and agreed to do it for scale, which was like $9,000 or something.
Wow.
And there's a point in the movie though where Wes Anderson really wanted to do some big helicopter shot and couldn't afford it. And the studio said, no, we're not giving you the money for this. And $75,000 to do this thing. And Bill Murray wrote him a check.
Wow.
Yeah. And they never did the shot. And what I couldn't find out about this story is, did Wes keep the money for the movie or did he give him back the check? But either way, the faith of Bill Murray in this movie, it sounds like, as scared as Wes was of him on day one, that they were just right away.
I feel like he's never been utilized better, this outside of Ghostbusters and maybe Stripes, than he is in the Wes Anderson movies.
Oh, yeah.
This is a second career renaissance. This is a renaissance for Bill Murray. This
Absolutely.
begins the renaissance. Him being in these movies, and all of a sudden he starts showing up like Zombieland, all these other movies. But it's because we reacquired a taste for him as the public, as a movie-going public. And I think it starts with Rushmore and progresses into the other films as well.
Yeah, this and Lost in Translation
Yeah,
are the
Lost in
two
Translation.
movies that really solidify the regenesis of Bill Murray.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, John Travolta and Pulp Fiction.
Right.
Or, it's one of these things where a director and an actor find each other, and then it's just magic from then on.
Yeah. And I would argue that this is one of his more layered and incredibly powerful performances, and not in the way that you think. It's not gonna bowl you over.
No.
The great thing about watching the film this time around was to watch the little quiet moments he has in reaction to things. And my favorite was when he meets Max Fisher's dad for the first time in the barbershop.
Amazing scene.
What happens in his face, if you're an actor, watch that. That's acting. And it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, I feel like there's something. Bill Murray was so big in the
Yeah.
characters that he played
Yeah.
in Meatballs and Stripes and Caddyshack and obviously in Ghostbusters and all those Saturday Night Live characters.
Right.
He was always an over the top extroverted
Scrooged.
character. Scrooge.
Yeah.
These huge characters. And it almost feels like he gets to this place in the late 90s and it's like, well, I know I can do all that. And I'm going to strip away all that and I'm just going to be truthful in the moment.
Yeah.
And you see it in the barbershop scene and you see it throughout the film.
Yes.
It's really, so let's get into the movie.
Sure.
We start with, as you said, this great soundtrack from Mark Mothersbaugh. And right away, it's completely different from anything else. And we see this painting of Bill Murray and his sons, which is so horrible. And we go right into this classroom where there's this math teacher and this math problem.
Yeah.
I just put that up as a joke. That's probably the hardest geometry equation in the world.
And I was looking it up because this actually came out the exact same year as Good Will Hunting. And I was thinking about, there's the impossible math problem. And I was like, is this after Good Will Hunting and making fun of it? No, it's just independent. They're came out right at the same time.
Well, there you go.
Because I think this scene is playing with our expectations of here comes the genius to solve the impossible math problem.
Right.
And of course, it's not that at all.
No. It's him daydreaming, right? Because this is Max's view of himself, is that he is this incredible genius, and that everyone should love him for it, when in fact, he's actually an irritating little shit. But yes, but in his mind, he's like, he thinks he's this unrecognized, unappreciated genius, is what I would say.
Well, this is what's so funny about him, and we're going to talk about this throughout the movie, is he's absolutely an irritating little shit.
He is.
And he's absolutely a genius.
Yes.
And he actually does have people that fawn all over him. And he irritates the hell out of. I mean, this is a complicated guy we're going to meet.
Some people just have that ability to naturally create followers.
Yep.
Some people just have it.
Yep. And he is, definitely one of those people.
Yeah.
And we should talk about Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Because this is his first movie.
Yo, wow.
Yep.
I thought he'd done some shorts or something.
No.
Wow. Okay.
As far as I know, this is his first film, at least his first feature. And Wes Anderson had spent close to a year trying to cast this part of Max. And basically felt like, if we don't find Max, we're not making this movie.
Right.
And they went to England, to Canada, all over the United States. They auditioned thousands of young men. No Max. And the original image in their head was, for Owen and Wes, was that this guy should look kind of like Wes, a skinny, pale, white, nerdy kind of guy.
Right.
And then in walks Jason Schwartzman, who an agent had met Sofia Coppola at a party or something, because Sofia Coppola is his cousin.
Right.
Because he is Talia Shire's son.
Right.
And he's a musician. He's not an actor.
Right. And Talia Shire is Francis Ford Coppola's sister.
Yes.
Right.
So this is in that very, very prolific family. And they want him to come in an audition. He shows up wearing a blue blazer and a Rushmore patch crest, which he has sewed himself. And he walked in the room, and Wes Anderson, I think Owen Wilson is there too, and they went, "Yep."
Wow.
And that was it.
Yep.
And suddenly what's interesting is that their brain flipped from the skinny, frail, pale Wes Anderson-y type to the Dustin Hoffman type from The Graduate.
That's a great point.
And he really is sort of kind of physically that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he just got it.
Yeah.
His performance is amazing.
Oh, it is fantastic. From scene to scene, just fantastic.
Oh, yeah. And we're sitting in the chapel, and which is not an experience I ever had going to school.
Right.
But I know people who went to like these kind of private schools where this stuff happened. And there speaking is giving his alumni speech is Bill Murray, Herman Bloom. And his speech is not what you would expect.
Thank you. You guys have it real easy. I never had it like this where I grew up. But I send my kids here because the fact is, you go to one of the best schools in the country, Rushmore. Now, for some of you, it doesn't matter. You were born rich and you're going to stay rich. But here's my advice to the rest of you. Take dead aim on the rich boys. Get them in the crosshairs and take them down. Just remember, they can buy anything, but they can't buy backbone. Don't let them forget that.
No, it's very much like, yeah, just don't just think about being rich. Think about there's other ways. There are better ways to be a person. There are better ways to live a life. And
That's
all
not
this
what
kind
he's
of jazz.
saying.
He's cutting it all underneath.
I don't think so.
What do you think he's saying?
He says poor kids take aim at the rich guys and take them out.
But that's what he's saying. That being rich isn't what it's all about.
Oh,
he's
is that
saying
what you think he's
that's
saying?
what I think he's saying. Is being rich isn't what it's all about.
I got a totally different impression.
Really?
Yeah, because
Oh.
my impression is that he's saying if you want to succeed, they're the enemy. You must destroy
So
them.
you think he's talking revolution?
Yeah.
No.
I
Well,
think he's
okay.
because he's
That's fair.
He was a poor kid on scholarship
Right,
at Rushmore
right.
who became a rich man.
Right.
I think he's saying this is how to take out the rich people.
That's fair. But I think
not
he's-
revolution, but
Right.
success means destroy and become wealthy.
Wow, I think he's deconstructing the whole concept of class. A class is a class
Wow.
like lower class and upper class. He's trying to deconstruct that to strip away, because he was a poor kid that came up. He probably suffered a lot of abuse from the rich kids.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
And so if you destroy the idea of class system and make everybody equal, it's almost socialism. He's almost preaching socialism.
Well, this is fascinating. What's
that's-
going to be really interesting is that it might change the whole way we see the whole film.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
because
the way you see it, but certainly in line with how I saw it.
wow, that's fascinating. Okay,
Yeah.
so
but I think you're right too.
Whatever the meaning is,
Yeah.
Max loves it.
Yeah.
He's like, this is what I've been waiting to hear forever, because he too is a poor kid
Yes.
who's here on scholarship, and we go outside and we go meet the great Brian Cox.
Oh God, I love him. To
who is so put upon in this movie and so beaten down.
so great.
And Bill Murray's talking to him, and up comes Max and says how much he likes the thing. And we meet Dirk Calloway, Max's right-hand man.
Yeah.
And then there's this moment here, which I think this is key to the whole movie, which is Bill Murray says,
What's his name again?
Max Fisher.
Sharp little guy.
He's one of the worst students we've got.
It's so great.
and that dichotomy,
Yeah.
that's the movie,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Because he is a sharp kid.
Yes.
And he is one of the worst students they have.
Because he feels he doesn't have to apply himself.
Absolutely.
He's above it all.
Well, he does apply himself, but not to the stuff he's supposed to.
Exactly.
He applies himself to clubs and plays and all these things.
Yeah. Do you think there's a hidden thing, like a learning disability? Do you think he's on the spectrum? Like, can you make an argument that he's on the spectrum? Obviously in the film, it's done for jokes or laughs in a way that's not offensive. It's done to make you make him endearing. But you could argue, couldn't you? Because he's not focused on the tasks at hand. He creates all these other things to do with his time.
I think there's definitely something different about Max.
Yes.
I don't know that saying he's on the spectrum is exactly the right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because that's kind of loaded with, particularly now.
Okay.
But like there are a lot of people who are in a different time zone.
Yeah.
Who operate in a different way and see things differently. And it's funny. It's funny you brought this up, and I was debating whether to tell this story. But now that you bring it up, it seems appropriate. Which is there's a book called The Element by Ken Robinson, and he also did a TED Talk that's really good. Oh, wait. And he tells this story, which is 30, 40 years ago in England, and there's a girl's third, fourth grade, and she's really struggling in school. She doesn't pay attention. She's always looking out the window. She's not learning. She doesn't read well. She doesn't apply herself. She acts out constantly in class, and the teachers year after year are getting more and more frustrated, and parents keep getting called in. Mom keeps getting called in over and over, and it gets to the point where the teachers go, "This girl has to go. Wow. She's disrupting my class. She's got real mental problems. She's not smart. She's obviously mentally retarded or, in some way. And you need to go seek professional help." And the mother is in tears and she doesn't know what to do with the kid. And she takes the kid to a psychiatrist. And the doctor talks to the little girl for a little while. Says, okay. He says, you know what? Why don't you just stay here in the office for a minute? Your mom and I are going to go talk outside. We'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll finish up.
Right.
And he gets up and he turns on the radio to a music station, and he takes the mom outside and closes the door. And the mom says, "What did you want to talk to me about?" And he says, "Wait." And he opens up and he's got a little peephole to look into the room.
Yeah.
And he says, "Just watch." And the little girl is sitting there on the couch, and she's kind of bored, and she's listening to the music, and she starts, kind of tapping her foot, and she starts moving her body, and within a minute and a half, she's up, and she's moving, and she's dancing, and she's just in the music. And the psychiatrist says, "Your daughter's not dumb. She's a dancer."
Holy crap.
And that woman is the choreographer of Cats.
Wow.
And the story the first time I heard the story, I just burst out crying.
Yeah.
Because it was so moving to me.
Yeah.
And the perception of like that her brain, it's not that she's not smart, her brain works differently. She sees the world differently. That's Max.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like he's clearly a genius.
Right.
The things that he does are so far beyond what a 15-year-old kid should be able to do.
Right.
And his way of interacting in the world is nothing like a normal kid.
Right.
And he's not capable. He's real struggles in doing it the way he's supposed to.
Right.
You know, and
it doesn't mean there aren't lessons for him still to learn.
And
which
he's gonna-
I love about the
absolutely.
film is that, they make him learn the
he's
lessons.
got to learn them.
Yeah.
Yeah. After Brian Cox says he's one of the worst students we have, we see what Max is good at, which is forming clubs.
Yeah.
And this montage is so great. It's to a song called "Making Time" by The Creation. And this is what we hear: is this is one of the great soundtracks.
Absolutely.
And originally he was going to do just all Kinks, and then he ended up expanding it out to doing really a lot of British Invasion and Cat Stevens. It's a really good soundtrack.
Yeah, I agree.
And with every shot of every club, this is what we're talking about. With everything looks like a painting.
Yeah.
Everything is framed perfectly. The color control is amazing.
Yeah.
He has like very specific, this is the blue you will see in this film. This is the green you will see in this film.
Yep.
In every single shot. It's amazing.
Yeah, and what an interesting choice of clubs to include in the film, right? Like these are clubs like Beekeepers and all these
Go-kart.
Go-kart, like all these different types of clubs. It's so it adds to the what do they call that with Zooey Deschanel? Like that kind of quirky, cool, whatever they call that.
I don't know.
It's just,
But it is that thing.
Yeah, it is that kind of quirky, kind of cool type thing. Yeah, it's absolutely. It adds to his overall lure of that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know about you, but watching this, I was like, I kind of want to go to Rushmore. I want to be part of all these cool clubs.
Yeah, sure.
But in the midst of having all these great clubs, we find out that he is on sudden death academic probation.
Yeah.
He's in deep, deep trouble. And I love Schwartzman's reaction to this. Can I see some documentation on that?
Yeah.
Again, he acts like an adult. He doesn't
Exactly.
act like a kid.
Right. He's trying to.
And Brian Cox knew that he was going to ask for documentation because he has it ready.
Which is their relationship, right? It's another window into their relationship we get throughout the whole movie. You know, because he has that conversation with him where he says to him, "Why did you want me here at Rushmore? Do you remember why I came to Rushmore?" It's like, "I wrote a play." And he goes, "Yeah, I remember." And he wrote it, and you had all
A
these
little
things.
play about something called Watergate.
Yeah, Watergate, right? And so you get this idea, and that makes him even more quirky, right? This idea that he has this uncanny connection with 70s era controversy.
Oh, yeah,
right?
it's
Vietnam,
true. Serpico.
Watergate, Serpico,
Yeah.
all of that is there, right?
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah,
You're
but it's
totally
all-
right.
Right, it's just all there because he has an uncanny connection. Because to him, that's probably his dad's stuff, and so, or he's living during that time, and he just has an interesting connection to it, and creates it. So, but it's either way, it gives you more and more connection to him because these are large events: Serpico, Watergate, Vietnam. These are large events seen through his eyes and done in small scale on elementary school stages or on at stages of where he goes to Rushmore. It's just fascinating that this is what gets you into the movie with him. You know?
Well, and he doesn't have any sense of, I'm a kid and therefore I should do these kinds of things.
Right,
He's
right.
just like, I'm doing this play and it must be the greatest play ever made. And
Yeah.
that's what, and this scene, because he mentions who said he should go to Rushmore,
Right.
is his mom.
Right.
And his mom was only mentioned a few times, but it's really powerful when she is.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, like, who was his mom?
Yeah.
She must have been a smart, precocious person too.
Yeah.
Because his dad wouldn't have sent him to Rushmore.
No.
Although his dad is great. We're going to get to him too.
And his dad is incredibly understanding of Max,
Oh, I mean,
which
amazing.
means there must have been elements of that in his wife, Max's mom. Yeah.
Yeah. So he tells Dirk about his situation,
Yeah.
and then we're in like the backgammon club, and we find out that they're going to be killing Latin to make room for Japanese.
Right.
He finds this book that has this Cousteau quote that's handwritten into it, and that leads him to Mrs. Cross, Olivia
Williams.
Williams.
Right.
Name just dropped out of my head.
That's all right.
Yeah. She's great in this movie.
Yeah, she is. And this was my first exposure
Me
to
too,
her.
me too.
And I've seen her every once in a while in certain films, and it's always interesting to see the different roles she can play. What's great about this also is that he initially has been trying to kill Latin for 2 years.
Right.
So what kind of freshman comes in and goes, or not, I guess not freshman because he's been there since 4th grade, I guess. But what kind of person is like all of a sudden deciding at what is relatively freshman age or even 8th grade, we should kill Latin? Like, who has that idea?
Yeah.
Right? So this just adds more to this lure of him being older than he really is. Like, I think that's what's happening here with his character, is that his mind is older than he really is, but his emotions are still
That's
a child's
exactly right.
emotions or a teenager's emotions. Yeah.
Well, and this is something that becomes a Wes Anderson theme.
Yes.
Because we're going to see it in Royal Tenenbaums.
Definitely.
We're going to see it in Moonrise Kingdom. Is
Yes.
that these precocious children that are very, very smart having these experiences that are really beyond where they should be.
Right.
And what the emotional consequences of that. Yeah. You know, with Tenenbaums, people are very emotionally stunted. And
Yep.
Yeah. Because even when they're adults, they're precocious children.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and after meeting Miss Cross for first, we see our first version of a Max Fisher play,
Yeah.
which is the rehearsal of Serpico. And this is where I go, I can't remember seeing it for the first time. Because I've seen it, but it
Right.
must have been just like, what the fuck is going on? They're doing Serpico?
I remember being excited because Serpico is one of my closet favorite Pacino films.
You know what? I don't know that I've ever seen it.
What?
I don't
Really?
I mean, maybe I saw it back in the day.
Yeah. I used to see it whenever they showed it all the time, either on Metro Media 5 or on WJLA 7 in DC. They would show it in the Saturday afternoons. They have the Saturday
Right.
afternoon movies. And I remember Serpico's French Connection. Like, I was into all the cop stuff. I was really into it at a very young age. And I remember Serpico being one of the most fucked up experiences because it was like my first exposure to being screwed over by your friends. And that's what happens to Serpico in the movie is his own buddies.
he's like
on the
undercover
force.
cop.
He's undercover cop, but he
Yeah.
finds out these dirty cops are doing shit. He turns them in, and they set him up to get killed.
Yeah, it's one.
awesome.
I literally don't know if I've seen it.
It's based on a true story.
I knew that, and
Yeah.
I've heard the guy interviewed
Yes.
who was the cop because he's went on to do a lot of other stuff.
Yep.
And I have definitely seen clips from it.
Right.
And I might have seen it back in the '80s at some point.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't remember.
That's one of the baddest Pacino performances ever. Like, badass Pacino performances. Yeah.
Maybe that'll be a cinephile.
Oh!
Yeah. So they're doing this Serpico play.
Yes.
And then we go out and we meet Dirk's mom,
Yes.
Connie Nielsen.
What a random cameo.
I had no idea that was her until
Yeah.
just rewatching it this time.
Literally one scene.
Yeah.
In the car.
And man, Max is
He's a dirty son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
His feelings or his emotions are wrapped up in this intelligent kid that he can't disseminate. He can't figure out his emotions because he's trying. If he was older in terms of his emotions to match his intelligence, he wouldn't talk about Dirk's mom in the way he does to that Scottish guy, to Magnus. Magnus, yeah. He wouldn't brag about trying to get a hand job. Like, that's terrible, right? Because he doesn't understand how to respect the situation. But for him, he is still dirty in that he's sitting in that car because he thinks he can actually get her. Like, when he hands his card to her, that's his way of coming on to her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, dude, you're 15.
Well, we're about to spend a whole movie with him coming on to another older woman.
Exactly.
So then after talking to Dirk's mom, he goes over to see Mr. Bloom in his roles.
Yes.
And this is such a great moment because he's like all monitored up and he's got the walkie-talkie.
Right.
And Bill Murray's looking at him and then he asks him this question.
What's the secret, Max?
The secret?
Yeah, well, you seem to have it pretty figured out.
I think this is key.
Yeah.
Because what's so interesting about what we're going to see from the Bloom-Max relationship is that it is not father-son.
No.
It's not mentor-student. It's not older man, younger man. It is equals.
Right.
And in some ways, Bloom is less than.
Yeah.
Because for a older, multi-million-dollar successful man in a Rolls Royce to ask, what's the secret, Max? He really wants to know.
Yeah.
And I really think it shows how vulnerable he is, how lost he is, how sad he is.
Right.
He's asking a 15-year-old guy for the secret of life.
Right.
That's really what's happening in this moment.
Yeah. We see him later in the pool, submerging himself a la The Graduate underwater. And it's almost like Max is his life preserver. Like, he's
I
saying,
agree.
What is this all about? And then Max says,
Secret, I don't know. I think you just gotta find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life. For me, it's going to Rushmore.
Yeah.
Like Max actually has the secret to life.
He really does.
And by the way, that's not a bad answer.
Absolutely
that's
not.
pretty good.
Yeah. But I also think he's emotionally still a child. And Olivia
Agreed.
Williams says this later on in the film, you're both children. You're both
absolutely.
children, which is brilliant. Yeah.
And then what happens next? Up come Ronnie and Donnie.
Yes.
Harriman
Oh my
Bloom's
God.
wonderful, loving children. Oh, they're horrible.
They are horrible.
Oh my God.
They're the quintessential rich guys' kids. Like, they're just these bros who are offensive, who are dismissive, and when I don't know which one of the two says, "Get your head out of your ass," Bill Murray just like clumsily reaching over to try to smack him in the face is awesome.
It's fucking hilarious.
It's very funny.
And it's also like goes to this thing, and this is is that you're the guy who came up, busted your ass to gain wealth,
Right.
And there's this weird thing, and we've seen it in movies, and I've seen it knowing people in life of like, your goal is that your kids don't have to experience what you experienced, but what you experienced is part of what made you who you are.
Yeah.
And so in order to maintain the wealth that you have, probably not spending that much time with your kids.
Right.
And so then your kids become assholes.
Yep.
And then you were in this situation, which I think Bill Murray or Herman Bloom is in, of what the fuck did I do all this for?
Yeah. Spoiled assholes.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Right.
Awful people.
He has that line when in the wrestling match when he says,
Never in my wildest imagination did I ever dream I would have sons like these.
and it's such a and that line makes me laugh every single time because there's so much truth to it and vulnerability to it, and yet it's an observational comedy, and it's just brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. So we walk quickly by Mr. Little Jeans, which is a Wes Anderson. That's Kumar Palana, who shows up in a lot of his movies. Who's very funny.
Yes.
And we go off to meet Dad, who we discover is not a neurosurgeon, which I think is what he told Bloom, but is instead a barber, played by the great Seymour Cassel.
Yeah.
Who's been in lots of Cassavetes films. This is a real actor from the 70s. He's great in this movie.
He really is, and this is something that he brings the incredible amount of warmth and understanding. He never raises his voice. He never questions Max. He's always supportive of Max, which you can probably see why he thinks he can get away with the stuff he does, because his dad, like when his dad turns that 37 into an 87, that's the dad who is not going to discipline his child. And you imagine the mom was probably disciplining Max more than the dad was. And so removing that disciplinary influence in his life, he has just a father who he seems frail, he seems like he needs Max in terms of an emotional stability, but not in a way that's over the top. And so it's sweet the way he cares about Max.
Yeah, and it makes me think again about Mom.
Yeah.
Is that I bet, and I have no evidence for this, but I bet Mom was brilliant and artistic and fun, and he loved her so much, Dad did, and that he was supportive to her through her sadnesses and ups and downs and turmoils, and in the way that he's going to be supportive to Max. And he's not going to say you got to bring up your grades, which any other dad would say,
of course,
and I would say,
right,
like I couldn't be Seymour Cassel, but man, he really is just, and he understands Max in this way that I think Max doesn't yet understand himself.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm spending too much of my time starting up clubs and putting on plays.
That's possible.
I should probably be trying harder to score chicks. That's the only thing anybody really cares about. It's not my forte, unfortunately.
It'll happen, Max. It's just, you're like one of those clipper ship captains. You're married to the sea.
Yes, that's true. But I've been out to sea for a long time.
It's such a great line.
It's an amazing moment. It's like, man, Dad really does understand him.
Yeah.
You know what's just occurred to me is that it's almost like he's a superhero. He's Spider-Man before Uncle Ben dies. Is that he has superpowers.
Right.
Because he can do things like kill Latin.
Sure.
That no other 15-year-old boy should be able to do. I mean, he is able to create all this stuff, but he doesn't know that with great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
And he doesn't know what he should use it for. He kills Latin without thought. And now what's he going to do next?
Rescue
Latin. Bring back Latin.
Yeah, bring back Latin.
So he has no morals about what he's doing, only that he wants to do it. And this leads us to this great scene where we're on the bleachers, and Rosemary, Mrs. Cross, is going to light this cigarette, and there's Max in his beret and lights the cigarette for her. this scene is so perfectly constructed in terms of shots. He's far away. He slides closer. She brings up that she was studying Latin American studies, and this leads him to killing Latin because apparently he doesn't even know that those things are entirely disconnected.
Yeah.
What was your major?
I didn't have a major, but my thesis was on Latin American economic policy.
Oh, that's interesting. Did you hear they're not going to teach Latin here anymore?
This was more like Central America.
Oh, Central America and whatnot. We're moving on. They're going to cancel Latin. They've got to make room for Japanese.
That's a shame because all the Romance languages are based in Latin.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Nihilo sanctum est ne?
What's that? Oh, it's Latin, isn't it?
I mean, the scene is amazing.
Well, it's great movement of relationship, right? Because at first he purposely puts himself away from her because he doesn't want to encroach her space, but he still wants to seem interesting, which is why noticeable, which is why he wears the red hat. It stands out. It's bright. It's colored. He may not even know why he's doing it, but he thinks this is the way to get seen. Then he walks over to her, sits down, has this conversation, says she should stop smoking. Then in almost an adult way goes, and you know what? I should mind my own business, which is a smart move.
No.
If you're seducing someone, that's a smart move. Gets up, moves away. But then she instigates. And this is what I think we're going to have to discuss this. How much does she, initiate or encourage him, his attraction for her because of where she's at in her life, in a vulnerable position, having lost her husband, living in his house, all this that we find out about her as the film progresses. How much is her initiating or encouraging him without knowing she's encouraging him? And I don't mean to blame. I'm just saying sometimes you're doing
I would take it a step forward.
Yep.
How is she attracted to him?
Right.
Is that, and I agree, this is a question in the film.
Right.
That we're definitely going to get into. I mean, absolutely.
He does the great seduction, and then he's like, comes closer, and then he feels more comfortable. And that's when you start to feel uncomfortable as a viewer going like, what are you doing? This is a teacher. You're 15.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, but his adultness and his precociousness kind of smooths it over a little bit because he's handling it all. He's so smooth throughout the whole thing. It's a bizarre scene.
It is.
And so from his conversation with Olivia Williams, he goes, I guess I have to save Latin. And now we see he killed Latin in the first place, and now he heroically and brilliantly creates a campaign to save Latin, and he does so well that it's now going to be required for everybody to go through Rushmore.
Okay. Yeah, he does. It's from 7 to 12, grade 7 to 12. you have to pass Latin now. It's required.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. There's certain people that can make shit happen.
Yeah.
But
Magnus's reaction is the right reaction.
Yeah.
You couldn't just shut your mouth, Fisher. It's right. Because he's right.
Nice accent.
Well, thanks.
But and this is it's something we've talked about is that, we talked about executives in Hollywood who want something to happen, but don't really know what the hell it is they want or why.
And then when they make it happen, they don't understand the consequences of making it happen. Yeah.
And that's, it's like, again, we go back to great power comes great responsibility. Mm-hmm. All right, you made Latin happen. Good job.
But it also speaks to Steve what we do for a girl.
Absolutely.
Right? Because he's doing this all for a girl.
Yeah.
Right? Or a woman, really, but a girl in the construct of film. You're doing it for a girl.
And doing it totally delusionally.
Yes, delusionally.
She didn't want Latin.
No.
She did Latin American studies.
Right.
Literally has nothing to do with Latin.
Right. She just says that it's a shame it's dying. She doesn't say, I really wish it wouldn't die.
Yeah. Then we end up at this wrestling match. And we get that line that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And it's just an amazing moment. And then apparently Max is a wrestler.
Yeah, that's such a great back and forth to him and Bloom. And then he goes, wait, you're on the team? When he gets up, right? I'm an alternate. And then he gets pinned in 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
It's ridiculous. But he impresses Murray even more because Max is doing what Bloom can't, which is he's living his life to the fullest within the construct of his world, right? Irregardless of grades, because he probably hasn't told Bloom about the fact that he's failing out of out of the school, but he's getting to do all these things to the fullest, and Bloom is watching him. So he sees this go-getter in Max. That's what he says to him. I think he says, come work for me or something like that. Yeah. And Max says, don't mess with me, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and I think it goes to this, Bloom has followed the American dream to the end, and he found out nothing was there.
Yeah, there's no gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like you spend your life going, I'm going to make money and I'd be wealthy, and he looked at all the rich kids at Rushmore, and he went, I want what they have, and now he's miserable and doesn't know what to do.
Right.
And there's also a great moment in the scene that we have to talk about, which is
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in the shit.
Bill Murray's delivery of that is,
It's great deadpan.
yeah,
Great deadpan.
and I think it's strangely honest and sort of vulnerable again. This character, and there's a big birthday party coming up, and he would like Max to be there. Ask Ronnie and Donnie if they've invited Max. They don't want Max at the party.
No, they don't.
Yeah, and we go to the birthday party. It's a hell of a party.
Met a girl, fell in love, glad as I can be.
It's a great window into this guy's world. You know, he's by himself. He's ostracized himself from the party.
Yep.
He's wearing these cheesy Budweiser bathing suit shorts, and he's throwing golf balls
Into
just
the pool.
randomly into the pool, watching his wife flirt with what may be the tennis instructor or whoever
Sure.
that guy is. But I like when the little kid shows up and looks at him and is just staring at him, and Bill Murray just reflexively throws a ball close to. He doesn't hit the kid, but
It's
he
close.
throws it close to the kid to kind of be like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Well,
you know?
and then he climbs the stairs of the
Yes.
high dive. Never seen anyone who had a high dive in the backyard. That's kind of awesome.
with the cigarette in
With
his mouth.
cigarette in one hand and the glass of scotch or whatever in the other hand, and jumps in the water. And we have the great soundtrack,
'Cause there's nothing in this world to stop me worrying about that girl.
which is the Kinks.
Right.
Song is just amazing. Ends up underwater, and they consciously are referencing The Graduate.
Of course.
Yeah, underwater, and then you even have the kid go by him.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is that clearly his home life is terrible.
Yes.
Ronnie and Donnie are awful.
Right.
His wife is
Possibly.
having an affair, at least flirting with this guy.
Yes, definitely.
But then there's part of me too looking at this is like, hey, Bill might have brought some of this on himself.
Yes, and
know?
the fact that he's like almost in a way of he's almost despondent about
Yeah.
what to do with his life because he's not willing to take responsibility for his part in it either. He thinks it's all happening to him rather than because of him.
I mean, I don't know how long he's been getting drunk and throwing golf balls at birthday parties, but that's not cool behavior for dad.
No.
You know, if he's been doing this for Ronnie and Donnie's entire life, then you know what? You bear a lot of responsibility.
That's a fair point.
You know,
Absolutely.
he's not necessary. And, you know, and maybe she should be having, you know, flirting around with the tennis instructor, depending on what kind of husband he's been.
Right.
You know, but that's not the movie we're in.
No,
because
no.
we're with Bill. So Max has saved Latin.
Yes.
He wants to brag about it a little bit. So he
does.
goes to see Rosemary. She didn't actually ask him to save Latin.
No. She thought it was nice. She said she heard about it, but she didn't think it was that big of a deal. Yeah.
And then they you know, start working on the aquariums, and now we get a new idea. Aquariums.
Right.
Maybe the way to a woman's heart is through a tank of salt water.
But also because we find out that she was married.
That's
in
right,
This
that's
scene,
right, in this
right?
scene.
Which is a great physical gag that you see in the old school. Like he drops the fish food into as soon as she says married, you hear the bloop because he's shocked that she's been married or what
Yeah.
it was married, and then she talks about that he died and it was recent and
Yeah.
all that. And then he says, "Do you know?" I think he says just before that, "Do you need an assistant?" And he's like, "Well, I don't think they give you one." So there's whole so in his mind he's like, "Well, this is a way I can get to her because she loves the fish so much, she loves the aquarium so
and
much."
there's some connection with this and her husband,
Right.
Edward Appleby. And what we're going to find out is that he's really the only reason she's at Rushmore.
Yes.
And this is something we're going to get into when we go to her room, too, is that there's some weird stuff going on with this woman.
Yes.
Some strange things.
Well, to allow these two guys to be in her world and try to win her heart, it lets you know that she's in a weird place as well.
Yeah, absolutely in a weird place. So Max heads off to the factory because he's got a new plan.
Yes.
And he goes to see Bill. He says, let's build an aquarium.
Such a great scene.
And what's amazing to me is that he convinces him.
He does, but he doesn't convince him for the amount that he wanted.
Sure.
Which I think is brilliant. The $65,000 down to $2,500. The deadpan. That's the thing that Bill Murray does so great in this whole movie is the deadpan reactions to everything, and then the lines.
So we're starting to come up with a plan for the aquarium.
Yeah.
Dirk loves to work for Max.
Yes.
He's just a great, and this is a thing too, is some people are looking for the person that makes things happen.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what Dirk is. Dirk needs a Max.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously a Max needs a Dirk.
Yes.
And now we go visit Rosemary in the library.
Yeah, it's such a weird little scene for me, that whole scene. 'Cause she's like,
What's weird
forced.
about it for you?
Well, because it's so overt. You can tell he's overtly flirting, which is why it leads to that moment where Rosemary says,
Has it ever crossed your mind that you're far too young for me?
And he has his response ready.
It crossed my mind that you might consider that a possibility, yeah?
Quite apart from the fact that if you're a student...
I'm not trying to pressure you into anything, Miss Cross. But I'm surprised you brought it up so bluntly.
I just want to make sure...
And what we see too, by the way, is that Wes Anderson has obviously studied film, and some of the people he loves, in addition to Hal Ashby, where you see references from, there's some Harold and Maude-ness in this film.
Yeah.
But another person he loves is Kubrick, and we see in the way that he sets up shots, he does that same sort of center punched, wide angle lens, camera sort of close, with the person looking almost exactly at camera, which we've also seen in the Coen brothers. We've also seen it when we talked about Silence of the Lambs.
Yep.
Like this technique, it brings you very, very close to the characters, and it also feels just a little uncomfortable and a little comedic.
Yeah.
And this scene with the lemonade and the fairly frank talk about his attraction to her, it's definitely weird.
And his childish way of being like not owning up to the fact that he's attracted to her, because he's like, well, in this relationship, she goes, Max, we don't have a relationship because we're friends, aren't we? That's the relationship I mean. Like, he's totally trying to, because he's a 15-year-old, he's not capable of understanding emotions fully. He is manipulating the situation for his own benefit. Like, even when he gets up to sharpen his pencil, when she's trying to stop, like she's trying to contradict him, he purposely goes to something that makes loud noises to kind of drown her out.
Well, and it's funny because, yes, he's a 15-year-old in terms of his emotions, but in terms of his game, he's got it all going on.
He does, but he's clumsy in the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? He wears the uniform, but he keeps fumbling the fucking ball. Do you know what I'm saying? We keep handing him the ball, but he keeps fumbling it. So he's on the team. The problem is he's just not scoring.
It's such an odd scene, and this is where too, and this is what you brought up before, and you see it more here. She likes him.
She likes him, yes, absolutely. Because she does not get up and walk out and say, this stops and this ends now. She willfully accepts the red pen from him. So there's these things, right?
And that handshake, there's sort of like a...
Right, there's a moment.
Because she does, it's weird. She goes through some of the actions of shutting him down, but she didn't shut him down.
No.
What degree she's encouraging this is very hard to tell.
Well, I think she's in a vulnerable place, right? I think this is where we have to understand, the audience understand her story, is that she's in a vulnerable place. She just lost a man she really, really loved, and she'd known, they were pen pals since what, 4th grade or 1st grade or something like that. So their relationship is her entire life.
And she fell in love with him when he was young.
When he was young at Rushmore. When he came to visit her came to London, and they randomly just met.
And this where the figure of Edward Appleby kind of hovers over this movie like Mom does to me. Which is like, well, who was this person?
Right.
Because her feelings for Max, I don't think you can separate it from whatever weird feeling she has for her dead husband.
No, and it's true, because she says later on in the film, you remind me of him a lot.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that. And I think she needs to be pursued. She needs to feel wanted. She needs to feel like someone wants to take care of her. Do you know what I'm saying? She to me, that's how I take it. And this is not, I'm speaking about it as a guy, maybe a woman who would have been on the podcast with us, maybe offer a different perspective. But to me, it feels like that she likes the attention because she's in this place where she needs the attention in a vulnerable place in her life.
I think so too. Yeah. Let's take a moment to admire the skill of the Max Fisher players.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because we're about to see a performance of Serpico. I acted in a bunch of high school plays. Did you act? Did you do high school plays?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, totally.
They weren't like this.
No, a lot of times in high school, you're doing musicals, or you're doing like funny comedies.
Yeah.
You're rarely doing, or maybe occasionally a Shakespeare play, but you're rarely doing heavy material.
I actually had a weird high school thing, and we did do heavy material.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't have these sets and live ammo and guns.
Sure.
And
I've got something.
This could be it.
There's action across the street.
Yeah, it's him.
The snowman.
I'm getting out of here.
Getting on the L train.
Take him!
This was crazy.
I just love Dirk Calloway as the nun.
Oh my God.
That's brilliant.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and then the altercation in the hallway.
Yeah, because at intermission, we flubbed a line.
Yeah.
And because one thing we can say, he might not apply to himself to school.
No.
But he implies himself to this play.
Well, the things he loves and believes in, absolutely. They get 100% of his effort, yeah.
Find out what you love and do that the rest of your life.
Exactly.
That's his philosophy.
Exactly.
He gets punched in the face.
Yeah, because he's snapping back at the actor.
Yep.
Don't fuck with my play.
And then we're back on stage to finish the play.
Yeah.
And there's that curtain call and the slow-mo walk out with the bloody nose and the flowers.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful shot.
I want to tell you something, Steve. One of my pet peeves as a lover of film, as a cinephile, a self-proclaimed cinephile.
Well documented cinephile.
Yeah, thank you. And fuck all of you all for hating me for loving Transformers. But here's the deal. I have such a thing about slow motion. I am, if it's not used properly, it takes me completely out of the movie. But when you use it really well, it's everything to me. The people who know how to use slow motion really well. I hate slow motion in every scene of Lord of the Rings where it shows up. Every fucking scene, I hate it. But in Rushmore, Wes does such a great job.
It's great.
The slow walk, and everyone is clapping except for the kid who punched him in the face, which is brilliant because they've still got their thing. But he is just drinking up the applause with the bloody thing in tissue in his nose. Like, all of it's just brilliant. The juxtaposition of this guy sweaty with the bloody nose holding these flowers and then just kind of, and then looking back to kind of rub it in the face of that guy who punched him in the nose. Just brilliant.
There's so much going on in this scene. Yeah. And then he thinks he's going to have a night out with Herman Bloom and Rosemary.
Yeah.
But there's this other guy who pops up.
The great Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson.
So much fun, man.
And Max is not pleased.
No.
He's still going to go out, and Dad is like, hey, let's go do something. And he says, no, Dad, I have plans. And Dad just goes, okay.
Yeah, he blows his dad off. This is what I mean. He's a little shit.
He is.
Because he just wants what he wants. He's almost narcissistic, and that he just wants what he wants. I don't know how deeply narcissistic he is, but he certainly feels that way. And even when he walks up to Olivia Williams to Rosemary and says, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah,
like so dismissive of someone she brought.
What
to
happened to
his
your
plane.
nose? I got punched in the nose. What's your excuse?
What's your excuse?
He's a horrible person.
And Luke's deadpan.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant. Luke is so good in these scenes in the film because the film is played in a certain way. You have to at least maintain some sort of endearing connection to Max. So you can't have anybody like react to him in a overtly negative way, other than Magnus, because he's set up as the villain. But everyone else kind of like, Luke is almost like, okay.
Well, because he's 15.
Yeah, right. He's understanding.
Well, and this is a perfect way to get us into dinner.
Yeah.
Because there's this dichotomy with him where people, because he acts so adult, that people want to treat him adult. And then when he acts like a child, people don't know how to deal with it.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to see in this dinner is that this scene is so uncomfortable and painful and hilarious and complicated.
Yeah.
And all of the actors are so good, and Jason Schwartzman is amazing.
He really is.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know we were going to dinner.
That's because you weren't invited.
Take it easy, Max.
You were the one that ordered him a whiskey and soda.
So what's wrong with that? I can write a hit play. Why can't I have a little drink to unwind myself?
And he doesn't do drunk like stumbling over shit, knocking stuff over. He does obnoxious.
Honestly, I think he's only halfway through that first whiskey.
Probably.
You know what I mean? He's never had a drink, but he's 15.
I'm sure he hasn't.
Yeah.
But I love what Rosemary says. She's like, when Bloom's like, calm down, Max. And he's like, no, you're the one that decided to give him drinks.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beginning of their kind of flirtation, possibly, between the two.
Well, and I think because Bill gave him a drink because he treats him like an adult.
He does.
He sees him as a peer.
Right.
And then we have the great... Which
speaks to the childish nature of Bloom.
Absolutely. No question about it. Well, because he hasn't learned how to be a father. I mean, he's at his fucking birthday party with the scotch and the Budweiser things, throwing golf balls into the pool. You're not acting like an adult. Come on.
It's so true.
And I have to give a moment because my wife and I say this all the time.
No.
Which is...
I like your nurse's uniform, guy.
These are OR scrubs.
Oh, are they?
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
That line is so stupidly funny to me.
It really is.
It is a really good line. And then you get to see Max really be a child and wig out. I made a hit play.
Yeah.
You hurt my feelings.
You hurt my feelings, right?
You're being rude, Max.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to figure out why you brought this gentleman to my play. And my dinner, which was invitation only. Would you like me to pass you the creamer, dog?
Yes, please.
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? You hurt my feelings. This night was important to me.
How did I hurt your feelings?
Oh, my God! I wrote a hit play! And I'm in love with you.
And I'm in love with you. And he buries he drops it, right? Drops the bomb on the table. Even after she had said in the library, there can be nothing between us. There is no relationship. And he tries to manipulate the conversation to make her feel like stupid for inferring they were more than a friendship. And then, true to form, as a child will do, he drops it and just like blurts it out with no class in the middle of this dinner. And I love Luke's reaction again, the blinking eye, looking left and right, just brilliant.
Yeah. I love also the moment that he hits Luke on the hand with the spoon.
Oh, Lord! Lord.
It is awesome. I have to say one thing to this about, too. Now, I'm talking about a 6-year-old now, not a 15-year-old. But one of the things that happens a lot with my kid is, like last night we were playing a game, and the game was a totally random dice rolling game.
Yeah.
And he was not winning. And he got upset, and he said, "That's not fair." And fair is an interesting word because he doesn't understand what fair means. It's like, no, it was a random chance. We both had the same chances. You didn't win. That's not being unfair. And you could be sad you didn't win.
Yes.
Max, in this scene, nothing unfair has happened to him.
No.
But he's hurt, and therefore it's everybody else's fault.
Yes.
Because he's a child.
Right.
As opposed to going, oh, this hurts. I'm experiencing something I don't like.
Right.
But nobody was mean to me.
No.
Nobody did anything wrong.
But he is a child because he won't listen to what Rosemary's saying.
No.
He thinks he can trick her into being he thinks he knows better than her.
Well, he should get everything he wants. He's Max Fisher. If he wants Latin to come back, Latin comes back. If he wants to kill Latin, he kills Latin. If he wants to do a play about Serpico and have live guns on the stage, he could do that too. If he wants to not study for things, he doesn't have to study for things.
That's right.
Well, and this is the thing about these people that we've talked about, where everybody just, where they're special, and Max is special.
Yes.
And special people get away with shit.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And special people need to get their comeuppance, which is really what a lot of this movie is about.
Yeah.
Is that he's got to get the shit kicked out of him a little bit.
He does, because he's a massive dick. I mean, when he says that to the waiter, he's like, "We were only supposed to be 3. Thank you for accommodating." Like, it's so unnecessary.
Yep.
So unnecessary.
Because he's a dick. You're right.
You're right. And he's hurt. And he's hurt.
And he's hurt, of course. Right. And so we're back at school, and there's a painting class, and Rosemary's painting. I love that she's wearing the backwards shirt.
Yeah.
Which I personally believe is Edward Appleby's shirt, by the way.
Oh.
And
damn, that's good, Steve.
And Bill is spying on her from behind the trees.
Yeah, such great, so funny.
Man, Bill kind of comes up, and
but once again, he's being a child.
Absolutely.
Hiding behind trees, jumping back. Instead of just walking straight up and giving her the letter, he's being a child by hiding behind trees.
Well, and this is where you can see he's attracted to her.
Yes.
We didn't really see that before.
Yeah.
But you definitely see it now.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to go, uh-oh. This is a problem here.
Yeah.
And then he runs away.
Yes.
And we get this very formal, well-written apology from Max. But the next thing we're going to do is break ground for an aquarium.
Oh, man.
And this is the height of arrogance.
Yes.
You know, like you're just going to cut down trees and get rid of a soccer field because you feel you could build an aquarium?
Right, just on your own.
Yeah.
Just randomly think to do it.
Yeah.
And he got all these people. Like, how does a 15-year-old kid get all these work crews and all this shit? Like, how is it possible?
You know,
it must have been through Bloom.
He makes me think about Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Is that Steve Jobs was one of these people who did these sort of things, you know, and made people just like flock to doing them.
Yeah.
You know, because he said, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, you know, guys like Wes Anderson and, you know, that are just making films and doing plays when they're young. And people like people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or seem to know what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. The coach, by the way, that's the other Wilson
the
brother.
The less famous Wilson brother, yeah.
Andrew Wilson. Unfortunately, no Rosemary.
No, she never shows up.
But you know who does show up? Guggenheim. Unfortunately, this is going to be it for Max at Rushmore.
I love him running in.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love him running in with the coach blowing the whistle, with the Wilson blowing the whistle, which is so brilliant.
And we watched the expulsion from outside
with the rain and the thunderstorm. So brilliant.
And off we go to Grover Cleveland High School.
I just love it's called Grover Cleveland.
Yeah,
just one of the most forgotten presidents ever. Grover Cleveland High School. Yeah.
I mean, he's no Chester A. Arthur, but
no, I mean, right. Or Millard Fillmore.
And apparently those are right across the street from each other, which is the real high schools, and the St. Andrews or whatever it is, that the prep school that Wes Anderson went to is right across the street from what sounds like a much nicer public school, but they then dirtied it up quite a bit to make it look pretty rough.
Yeah.
You know, I never was a new kid in school. Like, I never got transferred in. But I'm thinking that making a speech in front of the class is not a good idea.
With your Rushmore jacket still on.
Yeah.
there's a lot of. I mean, I love the way they populated the kids looking at him. You know, it's different races, and one is in an ROTC kind of like outfit, and their reaction to once the bell rings, they could give two shits about it.
They're
It's almost
non-reaction.
amused. Yeah, they're almost amused at it.
Because they don't like just like beat him up or make fun of him. They just go,
whatever.
Yeah,
it's a meh. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like the huevos of that to get up and do that, and the insanity, the disconnect from reality.
Right.
And he says he's going to start a fencing team.
Yes,
because I see you don't have one.
It's just so dumb.
And we meet Margaret Yang.
Yes,
who is Sarah Tanaka. I love her in this movie.
She's so good in this movie, man.
She's so sweet and
Even
smart.
much so, yeah.
Yeah. And is Max nice to her?
No,
not nice to her.
That's interest. That's what I think about this film. This is very interesting. He's such a dick to so many people, but so many people seem to find this that he's got this other nicer quality to him. I guess because he never really erupts at anybody, except the play guy.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty demanding.
He's demanding, but he doesn't like flip out on people.
Here's the thing: people don't like people because they're nice.
True.
People like people for a lot of complicated reasons. Nice maybe is one of them.
Sure.
But I've seen a lot of people who are not particularly nice, but might be very special or charismatic or funny or witty or cutting or sometimes even cruel.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of followers. You know?
The Outlaw.
Yeah.
He is not a nice guy.
No, he's pretty rough.
He's kind of a dick, man.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. The Outlaw is a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I should be less nice.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah.
So he sets up a fencing thing in the basketball court. The basketball team comes in. They're not very interested in him.
Not at all.
Calls up Bill on the payphone. Bill's on his cell. Jumps over a fence, falls.
Right.
That was a real fall.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Huh. Well, and we're led to believe that he's been ignoring Max's calls, right? So because you know why? Because he's having the secret flirtation with Rosemary.
Yeah. Well, I think he's got an attraction. Do you think he started flirting with her yet?
Yes, I think he has an attraction,
okay.
but I think he's been doing little things to kind of meet up with her or seek her or find excuses to run into her, I think.
And on the two sides of this phone call, there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Because we have a security guy trying to get Max off the phone.
That's so great.
We have Bill walk through a basketball game and stuff some good shot,
right.
which is awesome. And then you have him trying to convince Max that she's not that attractive.
Right.
When we know that secretly it's because he really likes her.
Once again, he's a fucking child.
Yeah.
That's what a child would do.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very complicated, there's a lot going on and it's very tense.
Yeah.
So Max goes back to Rushmore, runs into Magnus, and lies about Dirk's mom giving him a hand job.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know what movie has the most references to the word hand job. But this is up there.
Yeah,
we talk
sure.
about hand jobs quite a bit.
Boogie Nights, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. And that's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting towards the low point for Max.
Yeah, and this is a progression, right? Because Wes is really challenging us as a viewer. How far can we follow this guy as the protagonist and still feel he has some kind of redeemable value? And when he does that is when everything begins the process of falling apart for him. Yeah.
Sees Rosemary, gives her back this book.
Yeah.
Still, because this is the thing, he hasn't given up yet.
No.
He is still trying to play a certain kind of game.
And she's letting him play the game.
Right. And he says that now the game is, I need a tutor. And we go into this montage, which is Here Comes My Baby with Cat Stevens.
Yeah.
And we have tennis with Herman and them, and everyone's having fun.
Right.
We have him doing backflips at the basketball game.
So he's leaning into being in the high school.
Yep.
Right. He's
and you
committed.
could watch Bloom watch him.
Yeah.
He just loves him.
Yep.
He really does. And we see little science project stuff. It's a really, again, beautifully constructed montage.
And we see Margaret getting a prize, looking like she's the smarter one.
Yep.
He just has some green badge.
He brings Margaret. He's going to have her in a play.
Yeah.
And then Herman goes and visits Rosemary. And he fucking lies. Oh, I thought did Max have something planned for us today? Yeah.
Listen, all's fair in love and war, man. All's fair in love and war.
Is it?
That's what they say.
Yeah, I don't think either's true.
I've seen it.
Oh, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen.
Yes.
Do people torture people in war? Yeah. Is that fair?
Sure. Is it fair? No, I'm not saying it's fair. But
Well, the
happens.
sentence you say is all's fair in love and war.
Right, but I'm meaning in love and war in pursuing somebody. I don't mean actual war. I mean, it's always a war to try to win somebody.
Yeah. Anyway,
sometimes it's a war within yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they go off on a nice little walk.
Yes.
The scene is really sweet.
It really is until
who sees them but Dirk?
Dun, dun. I love that shot.
It's pretty dramatic.
Right? He's like this little kid on the bike is somehow carries all this weight from the shot. And then when Bill Murray gets in the car and tries to drive off, and there's Dirk.
I know about you and the teacher.
I just love that he calls him Bloom. The way he says Bloom.
Yeah.
You're a married man, Bloom. You're supposed to be his friend.
Look, Dirk, I am his friend.
Oh, yeah, and with friends like you, who needs friends?
With friends like you, who needs friends? Which is a perfect good bad line.
Yes.
And then spitting on the car. And then the twins lock him out of his own car.
God, man.
God, I hate Ronnie and Donnie.
I mean, they're just the jerks.
Horrible. And then Dirk talks to Magnus.
Yes. Magnus tells him, like, you're protecting the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And then tells him what he said about
hand
Fisher said
jobs.
about the hand jobs and with his mom. Yeah.
Then, again, Dirk's letter, which, again, has many references to hand jobs.
Dear Max, I am sorry to say that I have secretly found out that Mr. Bloom is having an affair with Miss Cross. My first suspicions came when I saw them Frenching in front of her house, and then I knew for sure when they went skinny dipping in Mr. Bloom's swimming pool, giving each other hand jobs while you were taking a nap on the front porch. Why am I telling you this now? Because you're such a good friend.
Horrible.
It's a great letter, though. The kid is incredibly the kid is probably smarter than Max. I think that kid's going to be more successful than Max because Max is always going to fall victim to his hubris. Whereas I think the kid is smarter all around, and he will be like he's going to be a Hollywood exec. He's going to be like running the studio.
Yeah, but
Max,
he can't.
I mean, Dirk.
But Dirk can't make stuff happen.
I think he's still young. He's gonna
sure. I'm not making any predictions, but to me, it's like this is Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak.
I'm going to prove the case later in the film.
All right, I can't wait.
Yes,
I can't wait. Then we have Bloom gets in his car.
Yes.
There's someone in the back seat.
Well, Bloom's leaving Rosemary's house
Leaving
at 2 a.m.
You're right.
Right? So he gets because Dirk sends a letter to Max. And he sent a letter to Max out of anger. Because he said I don't want Max to find out. But as soon as Magnus told him about the hand jobs, then Dirk sends a letter to Max to fuck with him. And so Max turn him crazy. And Max shows up at 2 a.m. in the car waiting for Bloom.
Yeah, clearly he's been following him.
Yes.
We're in just classic jealous man, jilted lover stuff.
I've never done this stuff.
I never have either.
I've always been afraid to do this stuff because it could lead to some really bad consequences.
Of course, there is no good consequences here. I mean, honestly, what happens in this sequence is fairly tame.
Yeah.
Although they essentially, don't try. I mean, close to trying to kill each other is coming up. So,
yeah, right, exactly.
I love the line in the car where he says, Bloom says, "I'm in love with her," and he says, "I was in love with her first."
Yeah.
As if first matters.
Dibs.
And then there's just this great line of, "I saved Latin. What did you ever do?"
Yeah, man.
It's like she didn't want you to save Latin.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you did this heroic thing for no reason at all.
Yeah. But I love that it's a little CIA reference. It's also kind of 70s, kind of sitting in the dark, smoking the cigarette.
Yep.
It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
But it's also dirty because the way he speaks about it. Was she good? Did you? It's just so insulting to her.
It's out of.
Yeah,
like,
it's out of a
feels
play.
like it's out of a play.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Sort
that's
of
where
mimic.
it's where he knows stuff from is from plays and movies and things.
Yes.
He visits Rosemary, thanks her for ruining his life, then builds a big bonfire on the back of Rushmore.
Yeah.
And again, you could see the perfect framing with that bench that I know they brought that bench in to put there because he needed some balance in the frame.
Right.
And now we're gonna.
When does he send the letter to?
That's what's coming right now.
Yeah.
Is that now it's time to destroy Bloom. And the first thing he does is send a letter to Bloom's wife about the affair. This is some adult stuff.
This is some serious shit, man.
Yeah.
But once again, he's still a 15-year-old because he brings sandwiches.
It's
just love
a
that he
choice
brings
of sandwiches.
A choice.
And very childish sandwiches.
Out of respect.
Yeah.
Peanut butter jelly, right? And tuna fish, I think is what it is.
Yeah. And I love that the wife says, "I'll take the tuna fish."
I love that she shows up like needing to cover her face as if, Bill Murray's people are all around or something. And once again, it's that 70s like CIA vibe like we talked about on 3 Days of the Condor.
Sure.
That whole thing you have to hide. It seems like that's what he's doing. This
movie I'm
espionage.
sure Max saw.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because that's it. Well, we know he wrote a play about Watergate.
Yeah.
So he knows all about Deep Throat. I mean, and they were at a parking garage.
Yeah, the parking. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's all referenced there, and I love how she goes, "Just get to it," because he's doing all these different
all
things.
this stuff.
Yeah.
So Bill checks into a hotel.
Yeah.
And then we go into this montage is just astounding.
I love it.
The song, by the way, is a quick one while he's away, which is The Who. Kind of an obscure Who track.
Yes.
And Bill's sitting having his little breakfast, and in come some bees, and another bee, and some more bees. And there's this moment where he's trying to get away from the bees, and then he looks down and sees a little plastic tube with the bees coming through crack in the door.
Yes.
And he knows. And the smile, he smiles.
It's admiration.
Yeah. He's like, oh, yes.
Because this is what he's been missing.
Yeah.
To live.
Yeah.
To be challenged. He's not challenged in his life anymore. He's conquered. He's made millions. Got a wife. Got kids. Got everything he could ever want. But he's miserable.
Yeah.
Because he wants a challenge.
Yeah.
Max finally shows up with a challenge.
Now he's alive.
Now he's alive.
Yeah. And then we talked about the slow-mo shot on the stage at the curtain call.
Yeah.
Now we get an even better one, which is he's coming out of the elevator with a bee box and he puts the gum on the wall, and it is just like awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we're at war.
Yeah, it's so great, man.
Yeah.
The back and forth.
Yeah. Bill goes and gets Max's bike and runs over with his car. and then Max cuts the brakes.
Oh my God.
It's like
That's such a
this
great
is life
scene.
and death,
Yeah.
man.
He's like, ah. The Bill Murray yells are great as the brakes get cut. And then the slow movement to where it's
the slow crash. And then what happens next? Max gets arrested.
Yes.
This is big.
Also in slow motion, if I think I remember correctly.
I think it is, yeah. Dad bails him out.
Yes.
Doesn't really ask any questions.
No.
And
he says, "Can you drop me off here? I got something I need to do."
Yeah. Wow. So I'm telling you now, when my son gets arrested for cutting someone's brake lines, I'm not going to just drop him off. We're going to have a little conversation.
That's right. You're a different dad.
Yeah, apparently. I'm
Seymour
not.
is a much more chill dad.
Very chill.
Yeah.
He goes back to Rushmore and gets attacked by Dirk and his costumey guy.
And
again.
this proves my point.
Okay.
Dirk organizes them to go after Max. Dirk takes his followers from Max and turns them on Max. See, I think the reason
How did they know Max was going to show up?
How did they know Max? Because they know Max.
Okay.
As soon as he showed
I
up.
thought they were just playing like a multiplayer MMOG, whatever that thing is, and Max just happened to arrive.
Nah. Well, how are they all positioned behind trees, then all of a sudden they turn around and start throwing rocks at him?
I don't know.
It's an organization, man.
I'm not going to say you're wrong. It never occurred to me, though. I mean, Dirk's a smart guy.
Dirk is a smart kid.
Dirk definitely a smart kid.
I mean, look how he set all this shit in motion with one letter.
And Dirk confronts him.
Yes, he does.
And this is a nice opportunity for Max to apologize and say that I was wrong, and
he doesn't.
He does not do that.
No, he doubles down and says Magnus is lying.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
And then he tries to run at Magnus, if I remember correctly.
Oh, he does, yeah.
Yeah, and then Magnus like knocks him out, and he says, we did it. We did it.
Yeah.
Which is a stupid attempt to connect to him.
Well, he's trying desperately because he wants to be the hero of his story.
Yep.
That's what he's doing. And yet he is definitely becoming the villain, because the other thing he does while he's at Rushmore is attempt to blackmail Rosemary.
Yeah, man. This is dirty pool.
Yeah, I mean, so he destroyed Bloom's marriage.
Yes.
He tried to kill him, basically.
Yeah.
He's lied to his best friend about hand jobs with his mom.
Right.
And now he's going to blackmail the woman he loves to get her fired.
Right.
This is really bad.
It is bad.
Yeah.
And Guggenheim calls his ass out on it.
Yeah. And they have a little fight in the shadows.
As if he's a student.
This is one scene in the movie I don't actually like.
You don't when they go at each other?
the shadow kind of wrestling fight, that whole thing.
You don't like it?
No. I love the movie, but this
Why'd
is
you let her go?
Yeah, it's over the top. It goes too far for me.
Okay.
And then he goes to see Rosemary, who's packing up.
Yeah.
And she comes at him.
Well, yes, and she lets him walk into the room.
Yeah.
But then he like tries to do the
tries to
victim
kiss her.
thing, and then he does. Like, right, they come close.
And he tries to kiss her, and he grabs her.
Yes,
like
he does.
in a very aggressive way.
That's what I'm saying,
And
man.
that's when she comes at him.
I got kicked out because of you.
No, you got kicked out.
Rushmore was my life. Now you are.
No, I'm not. What do you really think is going to happen between us? Do you think we're going to have sex?
That's a kind of cheap way to put it.
Not if you've ever fucked before, it isn't.
Oh my God.
How would you describe it to your friends? Would you say that you'd fingered me? Or maybe I could give you a hand job. Would that put an end to all of this?
Right, and I think this is the great pushback. Some people say with her character that they don't let her stand on her own, or it's not fun. No, when she throws Max into the boxes, that's her standing. And then when she embraces her womanhood, her adult womanhood, and comes at it full force with Max, Max is literally pissing in his pants.
Because he's been living in the fantasy world of being in love with
her.
And when she confronts him, it's like, are we going to have sex? Do you think you give... Again, she mentions hand jobs.
Yes.
And all of the reality of this thing, which he has no experience with.
Right.
Because he's only experienced with things from movies. Yeah. You know, and it freaks him out. I mean, like...
Yeah. He says, like, how can you say it that way? He says something about like the way she says fucked, and she goes, you wouldn't say that if you ever had.
Yeah.
Right? He says, don't make it cheap. You make it sound cheap. And she goes, you wouldn't think that if you'd ever had sex, if you'd actually ever had sex. So it's emasculating him. It's just brilliant. Brilliant.
Now we're sitting at Mom's grave.
Yeah.
And we have a meeting. And I love that the meeting starts off with, I was thinking about cutting down that tree and having it fall on you, but you know.
And Murray respects it. Bloom respects it because it's a big tree. Would have smashed me like a pancake.
Yeah. And there's no sense from Bill that this is a joke because he's already cut his he's like, and as you said, Bill kind of has enjoyed this.
He loves this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then he has just a lovely line, which is,
she's my Rushmore, Max.
Yeah, I know. She was mine too.
And this goes back to find the thing you love and pursue it. And I love going to Rushmore. And that this whole idea has kind of come together in this scene. And this is the moment. We just had our darkest moment with getting knocked out by Magnus and getting really destroyed by Rosemary.
Yeah.
And now we're having the moment. He's sitting in his mom's grave. And this is the beginning of the turnaround.
Yes.
We're not quite there yet.
But this speaks to your theory from earlier, Steve. The power. What is this power that his mom has?
Yeah.
Right. What is this? This is the place he goes to at his most darkest. It is his mom's grave.
Yep.
What is he missing? What is not there that she is? She was.
Well, and it's like he's this kid. That's why I go back to with great power comes great responsibility. He's blessed with the ability to make a lot of shit happen.
Yes.
It's not working out for him very well.
Right.
And it's not working out for anybody very well. He walks away, and what happens at the end of the scene? That tree falls down.
That's so great.
Oh, that's really good. Max has a new outfit.
Yes.
He's wearing a parka and a hat. He only has actually 3 outfits in the whole movie. He's finally shed the Rushmore blazer. And we're in a pretty dark place. He's going to cut some hair with Dad. And
he's given up. He's given up.
Yeah.
He's accepted he's going to be a working stiff for the rest of his life. And all his dreams of this incredible avant-garde life of accomplishment and prestige
it's all going away.
Is all gone. Yeah.
Margaret tries to visit her. Not very nice to her.
No.
Just ignore and looks at her through the window and doesn't speak to her. Pretty rough.
But he then draws the curtains in her face.
He's working with Dad. And Dad's kind of trying to encourage him. And he says,
Pipe dreams, Dad. I'm a barber's son.
Damn.
That is not cool. That is horrible.
No, exactly.
That's horrible.
But the thing is, he's 15, right? We says some terrible shit when we're 15. I mean, my sister and my mother, the fights that they would get into when my sister was 13, 14 years old, brother, melt the paint off the walls, the shit they would say to each other. It drove me insane to be in the house to listen to, because I would want to run up and defend my mother to my sister, and they would both yell at me when I would try to get involved because it's like between them. And so it's an understanding that older people have. And maybe you'll have this with Jax when he's 15. I'm sure he's going to say something.
I'm having to have some understanding now.
There we go. So, I'm sure at 15, when he's got full and starting to embrace his manhood at a small degree.
He's got that testosterone going around in him.
So he'll say some shit, and you'll be like, "Oh, I can't punch him in the mouth."
I can remember some stuff that I said that wasn't at the Max level, but still so arrogant and disrespectful.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah. And but Dad's cool with it. He's like, okay, well, I'll see you at dinner.
Because Dad's chill.
Yeah. And there's Dirk waiting outside.
Yeah.
And Dirk apologizes first.
Mm-hmm.
Dirk's a good guy.
That's what I'm telling you.
I'm not arguing that Dirk's not a great guy.
He's going to be a CEO.
I don't think good guys always end up as CEOs.
No,
That's my problem.
But he's a good guy with the ability to go dark if he needs to.
That's a fair point.
Yes.
Gives him a present of this Swiss Army knife.
Really sweet.
Yeah, and that's the big thick one too. Like
Yeah.
that was the one that was really cool. I don't know that kids today actually care about Swiss Army knives, but when I was a kid, you wanted a cool Swiss Army knife.
Yes,
that
you
was
did.
do some whittling.
That's right.
Finds out that Guggenheim has a stroke. He goes to visit Guggenheim. This scene's really funny.
I love that he had the stroke.
And I got to tell you, as a teacher, there are some students that wear you down. And I can understand, like, if a certain student came up to my bed when I had the stroke, that I would go, "It's Max. Fisher.
What do you want?
What do you want?"
I love when he says, "What do you want?"
it's hilarious. And it gets in the airport, and it gets in the elevator, and there's Bill Murray.
Yeah,
he does not look well.
No,
he is a little worse for wear.
He's got a shiner.
Oh yeah,
he looks like he's been drinking. He's binge. He's been binge drinking.
Yeah, who gave you that shiner, Ronnie or Donnie? I can't tell which.
I can't tell anymore.
And again, we go to I don't think he's much of a dad. I don't know why he got that shiner, but he has been. I mean, when you're have a can of beer in your can of Diet Coke in your pocket and you're pouring booze into it and hiding booze, it's like this guy's. He's in a dark place.
Yeah, he's not in a good place.
Yeah.
Nor should he be. He's lost his friend.
Yeah.
He's lost his wife.
Yep.
And he's lost the woman he cares about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Max asks, "How is she?" And he says,
I really wouldn't know.
Why not?
I haven't seen her in 6 weeks.
She left?
She's in love with a dead guy anyway.
and this is a key moment. Again, we go to this Edward Appleby. He's a very important figure. So Max realizes that she might be available.
Yeah. See, and this is where the turnaround, to me, hits a snag.
No, this is a step backwards.
Right.
Climbs up this ladder in the rain.
Son of a bitch.
Goes in, says, "I've been in a terrible car accident."
Oh my God.
And he's got fake blood on his, and we all know this is fake. Like,
Yes.
nobody believes.
Yeah.
Like, why are you on a ladder? Like, why?
Right.
You get in a car accident, you're gonna climb up a ladder?
Why does Rosemary let him in?
Well, and then he lies down on the bed, immediately puts some romantic music on.
My God.
Doesn't she notice the fucking romantic music?
Exactly.
But this is the thing too. When she's comforting him, she likes him.
She does.
And we see we're in this room, and this is the childhood room of Edward Appleby.
Yeah.
We go, who is this person that fell in love with this guy? She's from England.
Yeah.
This isn't her world. And the guy dies, and she returns to live in his childhood world.
Literally his bedroom.
That is weird.
Right? The plane's still hanging, the model airplanes. The bed sheets, the covers are still the same as what a 13-year-old boy would have, you know? This is her process, right? She's in this process of grieving and letting him go. And I think this is where they have the exchange.
A, he's married. B, he hates himself. And C, well, he smashed up your bicycle, didn't he?
My previous bicycle, yes.
Well, what sort of a person does something like that?
I don't know. War does funny things to men. He thinks he dumped him because of Edward Appleby.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, you live in his room with all his stuff. It's kind of...
I was married to him.
I know you were.
Although I will say that Edward has more spark and character and imagination in one fingernail than Herman Bloom has in his entire body.
And then Max very interestingly and somewhat intelligently says, dead fingernail.
Yeah.
And gets her to confront the fact that she has to move on with her life.
Yeah.
That he is dead and she can't keep living in his shadow, his ghost, with his ghost over her in her life, you know? And even though it's done amidst this desperately stupid attempt to get her back, and he does kiss her again when they're on the bed, right? So you're right, Steve. She does have an attraction to him, but it doesn't seem dirty or unwarranted like what we hear coming out of nowadays, these places in Florida or whatever, when these teachers are sleeping with these kids. This is something else, right? These are two lost people kind of trying to figure themselves out. With Blue, they're all lost, trying to figure out their place in the world again.
Well, I think Max from the beginning actually did know the secret.
Yeah.
But he also is living in a world of kind of fantasy and fakery.
No consequence.
Yeah, and like he has to what he has to learn is that of the reality of the world and other people's feelings and what is and isn't realistic.
Yeah.
And what Herman Bloom and Rosemary Cross have to learn is to find what they love and do it, not live in the past, not live in a false fantasy of their own reality.
Yeah.
They have to actually live.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to see next is that Max, while flying a kite and looking at a little model airplane, he's going to start living again because we're out. He's flying a kite. He's with Dirk.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret Yang comes up, lands a little prop plane, and Max takes the flight, takes the string, the spool of string for the kite, and suddenly he starts moving with it. And suddenly you see that spark, and he says,
Take dictation, please. Possible candidates for Kite Flying Society.
And Dirk's excitement.
At being back in that position. But also we have the interaction between him and Margaret Yang where she calls him out. She says, you were not very nice to me.
Yep.
And he apologizes
Yeah.
and he says, it just wasn't a good time. But she is willing to understand him and forgive him.
Yep.
And that's the power because that's the real relationship, him and Margaret.
Right, absolutely.
Right?
That's
And-
where he's supposed to be.
Exactly. And she comes after him.
We're back at the barbershop. Bill shows up because Max awfully asked him to meet him. This scene is so amazing to me. And Bill comes up and he pulls out these two little pins and he says,
That's the perfect attendance award and the punctuality award. I got those at Rushmore. I thought you could choose which one you liked more, and you could wear that one and I could wear the other.
and Bill says,
I'll take punctuality.
He's so touched by the gesture because I have a feeling Bloom's never had a best friend. I have a feeling he's never had a best friend. And this is the first time he's had a best friend. And he's so emotionally regressed that it's a 15-year-old kid like this.
But I think this scene is so symbolic because both Max and Bill, these guys tried to kill each other.
Yeah, they did.
Both Max and Bill both understand that this pin, punctuality or perfect attendance, represents forgiveness.
Yes, Steve.
And love.
Listen.
And affection. And they go, I'll take punctuality.
This is what men do.
Oh, I totally agree.
This is what men do.
Yeah.
This is sometimes, and I've heard this, women sometimes hate us for our ability to do that. Some women sometimes hate us for our ability to do. We can fight each other like crazy and then we'll be like, all right, we're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. My best friend, Maurice, we met fighting on a basketball court. He threw a basketball at me from behind because I tried to push him out of bounds. And so we almost got into it that day. And then from that, somehow we built this incredible friendship and we're best friends ever since. But it's funny how men do that kind of shit. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and symbols are useful.
Yes.
I mean, they're both useful in life and they're also definitely useful in filmmaking. Because you don't want them to have a whole conversation. I'm really sorry when I put the bees
course
in there.
not.
Fuck that.
No.
I'll take punctuality and we know we're good.
But I liked his reaction when he says punctuality. He's so touched.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
You can see that. Yeah.
And then he does to solidify the friendship.
Yeah.
Come meet my dad.
That's like I said earlier in the podcast, such a beautiful acting moment by Bill Murray. You see his face understand that Max was lying about, and he forgives him because he understands what it's like to be ashamed of being poor.
Yep.
And it's all in his face.
It's all in his face. All in the reaction.
Great.
And Bert, his dad, he treats Herman so gently.
Yeah, he really does.
Because he knows this is a person who's in pain.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to take good care of you. And at this moment in his life, he needs to be taken care of.
Right.
He needs some love and affection in a gentle, simple way.
The true hero of this movie is Max Fisher's dad.
Well, he's awesome.
He's the true hero.
Well, he's the only person, I'm kind of processing that, but he's certainly the only person that I can't say anything negative about.
Yeah.
He's an entirely positive figure.
Yeah.
The Bill Murray that walks out of that barbershop is completely different from the guy that walks in.
Right.
It's like 50 pounds have been taken off his shoulders.
He just wanted love and affection. He wanted to be accepted.
That's right.
And he has it.
That's
And
right.
now he can work out and do this montage.
We're going to go to a training montage to Oh Yoko.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. And we're still planning to get Rosemary.
Yeah.
And our technique for getting her remains the aquarium, which shows that both of them are still children.
Yes.
Like, this is your plan?
Yeah.
And again, we're going to do it. And again, she doesn't show. And there's this moment where he says, okay, that's it. I give up.
Yeah.
I paid $8 million for this. And Max says, and that's all you're willing to give? Wow. Which is awesome and stupid.
It is a great line in the movie, though.
It's a great line in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you should give something she actually wants. Like, pay attention to her a little bit, but okay. Because Rosemary, when Max goes to visit her, says, I never asked anyone to build me an aquarium.
Yeah.
I don't know how that rumor got started. And then Max is now fully on the team, on Team Bloom.
Yeah.
So he has grown. He has found some compassion. He has found some, like, oh, this is not about me.
Yeah. But that's what's so great about the movie, Steve. It's not a conventional turnaround.
Right.
It's still fraught with his frailties as a human being, his flaws as a human being.
Max is still Max.
He's still Max. But he understands now that these two people, he deserve to be with each other and that he can facilitate their union.
Well, he's now going to use his powers for good.
Yes.
He's still going to be arrogant and complicated and demanding and
lie
unrealistic
to them,
and lie to them.
Trick them, yes.
And trick them, but he's hopefully using his powers for good.
Yeah.
And he's even going to go get his arch nemesis, Magnus, and get him to be in the play. I love the moment. I always wanted to be. You do. You can say it better.
I always wanted to be in one of your fucking plays.
I know you did, mate. I know you did. And even the use of mate is really smart.
Yeah.
Time for another play from the Max Fisher players.
Oh, so awesome, dude.
It's literally epic.
Yeah. What's it called? Between Heaven and Hell or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fantastic.
Be sure I've left safety goggles and earplugs under the seat. Use them at your discretion.
I think, wasn't this an Oliver Stone movie too? Between
There's Heaven and Hell is the
Heaven
the
and Hell is
Stone.
okay, okay. So yeah.
Which is not one of the great Oliver Stones.
No.
Yeah.
But it's essentially kind of similar.
Yeah, and we have just explosions.
That's so great.
Flamethrowers and machine guns. And I love the moment where everyone pulls out I better put on these safety goggles and
But it's an awesome play. I would love to watch.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Well, what Wes Anderson said was they went crazy. I mean, they got
sure.
more involved in making that play than they did in actually making the movie.
Right.
And by the way, when they do this long tracking shot, this long dolly down the audience, everyone in the movie is there.
Yeah.
We got Mr. Little Jeans, we got the coach, we got the two cops that arrested him.
Yes.
Like, we got Dad, we got literally everybody.
Guggenheim.
Yeah, Guggenheim's there. Luke Wilson is there. Everybody is there. Yeah. And it's like everything's now coming together.
Right.
It's intermission at the play, and there's this lovely little moment with Rosemary and Herman outside, and he's very contained, but put together, and she runs her fingers through his hair.
That's such a great moment, dude.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of Max's latest opus?
It's good. But let's hope it's got a happy ending.
It's beautiful. And you go, oh, okay.
It's a moment of care.
Yeah. We finished the play with Margaret Yang and Max and their I love you, let's get married moment before there's huge explosions. And
so great.
And then after, we cut to the after party.
Esposito. I like the way he says Esposito.
And apparently Max has even designed the after party.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And the first shot in the after party is a centerfold, a naked centerfold.
A couple of them, yeah.
And this is just a big point because that centerfold is largely why this has an R rating.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Wes wouldn't compromise. He was like, well, it has to be in it.
Damn.
Yeah. And you look at me, it's like, because this is a big deal in terms of how much money a movie can make. Yeah. And he was like, well, it has to be there because that's what Max would do.
There you go.
Yeah.
But it's great because it's a thing I recognize too. That's what's so great about the movie. There are so many things that I recognize as a kid growing up through high school and whatever that I see in the movie. That seeing your first centerfold, like those three kids that are standing just like staring at it, not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Right? Just marveling at a woman's naked adult body. It's
when you and I were young, it was hard to find that.
Yeah, it was, which is why it's so great to see that moment because I'm like, that's exactly what I did the first time.
Today,
I saw it.
I'm sure, it's hard not to find it.
Of course.
Yeah.
These kids today.
Yeah, with their internets
and the hand jobs.
Their internets and their hand jobs. He introduces his dad, who's a barber. Again, growth.
Yes.
He's no longer embarrassed.
Yep.
Luke Wilson says, I heard you were a neurosurgeon. It's like, no, but some people get those confused.
A lot of people make that mistake.
And let's have a final dance. And Herman wants to ask Margaret Yang to dance, and she's not having any of it.
I love that. She says, go find your own dance partner.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
But then Max says, no, I trust him. He's my friend. Again, we've grown. And then he has his last moment with Rosemary.
Yeah.
Well, you pulled it off.
Yeah, it went okay. At least nobody got hurt.
Except you.
And they have the final dance together.
Right.
And in beautiful slow-mo.
Again.
Yeah.
Great use of slow-mo.
Great use of slow-mo.
We haven't mentioned this at all through the entire podcast, but his ability to use curtains.
Oh yeah, it's a great point.
To convey different acts of the of the film. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Well, and it's also, I think, telling you that we're not taking this this is not entirely realistic.
Right.
This is theatrical.
Yes.
This whole story is theatrical.
Right.
And then the curtains close.
Yeah.
And we've reached the end of our film.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, what are your final thoughts?
Oh, man. This is what I say. This is one of those rare films that comes along that really awakens you to the power of a new director, right? All of us who love directors or auteurs, we can name that one film that we saw. We're like, oh, yeah, this is a whole new voice in the film medium. Quentin Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs, I think, is one of those. And so you have these films that come out, and you get even Bad Boys for Michael Bay for a lesser situation. You haven't seen an action film quite like this, right? So you have these different directors that come out, and Wes Anderson, when he comes out with this, announces himself as almost a top of the pyramid of the independent film movement. And he's able to cross over, just like the Coens are able to cross over. But he never sacrifices his voice in any of his films that he's done since. But this is where you start to see the possibilities of what you can do of what Wes Anderson can do with the medium of film, from the music to the acting to the set design to the costuming to everything. It's all meant to make you feel warm inside and yet get you to see the emotional stuff and complexities that are there in human beings, whether they're in person or claymation like we see in Fantastic Mr. Fox. He just does incredible work, and I think in this movie is the beginning of falling in love with Wes Anderson if you love Wes Anderson movies.
First of all, that was great, and I couldn't agree more about him as, this new auteur and the joy of just seeing this voice that is so clear and so unique. Yeah. For me, I kind of go, I look at this in sort of two ways, because on the one hand, as like a person who studies film and thinks about filmmaking, looking at Wes Anderson in terms of the way he composes his shots and the way he controls color and imagery within the frame.
Absolutely.
There's just nobody better. And you could go through, there's a great thing to go look at, do a Google search for color control Wes Anderson, and you will see the palettes he uses for each movie and how every piece of fabric, this is just the beginning, but as you go on more and more, every piece of fabric is within a certain color palette. It's amazing. Yeah. And so like I can sit back unemotionally and just observe, oh, here's how he's using the rule of thirds, and this is where he's putting the horizon, and this is how the framing is working. Right. And it's amazing. And then I can close my eyes and not worry about any of that stuff and listen to these characters, and there is nobody like these people. These are these fascinating, funny, quirky, emotional, touching people. And this relationship between Max and Bloom, which is really the love story of the movie to me, by the way, true, is so profound. And the way that they heal each other and help each of them come of age in this film is really, really lovely.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that's what we think about Rushmore. Of course, we'd love to hear what you think. You can visit us on Facebook at the Cine-Files, CINE-FILES. Subscribe to us on Stitcher, on YouTube, on iTunes. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. Yeah. If you're on iTunes, leave a review. And if you really like the show, we'd love your support. You can go to patreon.com/the Cine-Files. We have a lot of nice offers there. We communicate with you regularly there. We do special little audio clips for you. You could even maybe pick a movie that we review sometime by just visiting patreon.com/the Cine-Files. If you want to reach me, you can always reach me at SR Morris on Twitter. John, where can you reach me?
All right, you guys can always find me at The Rocha Says, ROCHASAYS, on Twitter and on Instagram. Every Friday at 10 a.m. on Collider Movie Talk. I'll probably be doing more stuff on Collider soon. And of course, every Thursday morning, a new episode of the Outlaw Nation podcast drops on the SK Plus podcast channel. That's the Schmoes Know podcast channel.
And if you haven't already, you've got to check out Outlaw Nation. It is a great show.
Oh, thanks, man.
All sorts of stuff from John. Great interviews. Definitely worth your time. Check it out now.
Thanks, man.
All right, that's it for this week. We will see you next time on the Cine-Files.